We went to Ethiopia this past summer. Ethiopia is the second poorest country in the world. 80 million people live there. They have so little money. And we're going to this area where there was people who were literally dying. They were starving to death because the rains weren't coming and they're dependent on the rain. So we're going there to try to figure out how in the world to help. We're visiting this school and we're in these buses. And we have these two drivers. The driver, whose name was Fish, which I thought was cool. It was like Fish and Tish. It's like we could have our own talk show in the morning, you know? Fish and Tish in the morning. We're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you look left, nothing. Look right, even less, right? And so it starts to rain, and the road is not paved. It's just all dirt. And so the bus kind of starts sliding, which is kind of fun and then kind of scary. And up ahead, I see this turn, and it's this curve. And right in the curve, there's this kind of gnarled tree. Uh-oh. If we don't kind of make that turn, if we don't kind of turn and make that, we're going to run into the tree, and the bus is starting to slide, and the rear's kind of sliding around. It's kind of like this roller coaster, and we're going like 5,000 miles an hour. The driver starts to make the turn, but he doesn't make it kind of in time, and so we start sliding, and we're like, this is gonna happen, and whoop, like bam, right in the tree, right? And so we get out, and everyone's kind of standing around the front of the bus, and we're like, yep, sure enough, we hit the tree, you know? We had hit the tree, and it had all these thorns on it, and one of the thorns had actually punctured the radiator. And so we're sitting there, and there's all this water on the ground. I know you know this about me, but I'm actually really gifted mechanically. And why are you laughing? You don't know. And I know in general, whenever there's liquid coming out of an engine, that's usually not a good thing. Hey, does anyone have any gum? I thought that would work. It didn't. If that radiator doesn't get fixed, there's no way we can drive. To get it fixed, and we're stuck there, and we can't all fit on the other bus, and what are we going to do? And there's this guy who is on a trip, and he used to be in the South African Army. His name was Lou. He's kind of like our MacGyver, and every trip needs to have a MacGyver. And so he's sitting there, and he starts just kind of looking around the bus. In the back of the visor of the bus, and there's a seat thing, he finds this old screw, and he just takes his penknife out and kind of undoes the screw. And then he looks through the first aid kit, and there's a latex glove that was like ripped, which if you know anything about latex gloves, they're not supposed to be ripped, okay? That kind of defeats the purpose of having a latex glove if it's ripped. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap this latex glove around the screw because it's going to form a seal. And then we're going to puncture that hole, which is small, and make it a little bigger with this screw. And then as we screw the screw into the hole, it'll make it bigger, but then the latex glove will form as a seal, and we'll be able to stop the leaking. And we can fill it up with water, and then we can drive back and get it welded. And so he does it, and he fixes it, and the leaking stops, and we're able to drive. And in that moment, I realized something really important. And I know it's kind of silly, but sometimes you can feel like a torn latex glove. Like you're not worth a whole lot, and you don't know how you fit, and you don't know what gifts or talents you might have. And sometimes you might feel like a screw holding something stupid together in a bus in the middle of nowhere. But God can take and use and fix and pull and manipulate, and he can absolutely make something fantastic, life-saving, trip-changing, help people by cobbling together things that are so different, that seem so useless.